Welcome to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk all things hockey, interview players, and help new ones learn the game. If you want to learn something new about hockey, this is your show. Get ready, you're listening to the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. Welcome into the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast. This is episode 18, and I will also say that this is not going to be in video, not for this one, but let's get into it. So today we are talking about ties, draws, and how the game format should be for the regular season. Now, I actually did talk about this in one of my bonus episodes, which was behind a paywall, and I thought that maybe this should be brought out into the open, and maybe Gary Bettman should actually hear this, but I highly doubt he's going to hear this, but here it goes. The shootout needs to be done with. I don't care if you have to do extra overtimes or you just go back to a tie. I really do not care at this point. It's frustrating to see because goalies are playing with the entire team for the entire game, and what that means is that, you know, the battles are between the skaters. The battle is not between one skater and one goalie unless it's a penalty shot or a breakaway for the most part. I mean, and the one-on-one battles are usually with the skaters, not the goalies. And I think, you know, we really do need to reassess this. I mean, and not to mention the 2-point games and also, you know, the overtime losses and the player getting and the team getting an extra point, or, you know, or just getting a point because they made it through regulation. I mean, we don't reward it. I mean, in the NBA, they don't do this. It's like, did you win? Yes. Okay, you go up in the standings. Did you lose? All right, you're going down in the standings. And maybe we need to reassess this. I do think it's all right if we tie, just give each team a point, or if they win even in overtime and the other team loses by a goal, the winning team gets 2 points and then the other team gets 0, or you just get rid of the point system and then just whoever wins that game just has it. But the shootout needs to go. That is 100%. We're not running a skills competition here. I mean, the MLB doesn't have a home run derby to determine that after the 10th inning. That doesn't work. It doesn't work in the NBA. It's like, oh yeah, half court shot and the first to miss or whatever loses, or they have that checkmark system as well. I mean, like, you've seen some quality moments come out of a shootout. I'm not going to lie. I mean, you see some great highlights, but we're talking about a regular season game. We're talking about teams having to face off against each other for a 5-minute overtime, which is not enough players on the ice when you begin. It's 3-on-3 overtime, and then you play a skills competition. I mean, the NFL doesn't have you kick from, you know, the 5-yard line and then the 10 and then the 20 and then the first to miss loses the game. I mean, even they go for a tie. They go for a tie in the standings too, and then they kind of work that out with their point system as well. And guess what? If a team loses in overtime, they don't get anything. They go down in the standings too. So the NFL actually has that standings position correctly. It's not it's not too absurd to think that the NHL should implement this. And yes, I mean, like, some teams, does it benefit the losing team in some aspect of them just pushing it to overtime? Yeah, but I mean, a team that goes 24, 24, and 10 is essentially a 500 team. But guess what? That 10 on the end, that's 10 losses. So really they're a 24 and 34 team and that's 58 games down in the season, and then you have to go win 10 essentially of your next 24 in a row, and that like you essentially have to win 15 games, and then you could be at like 500 or just over, and I mean, like, what does that say of anything? Like, if you are just gonna take ties and I mean, like imagine if a team tied 82 points. I mean, like, it's like, you didn't show up, essentially, almost. But I mean, if you're gonna have the tie if teams just can't score at the end of overtime. Now, speaking of overtime, I'll tell you this: 5 minutes, too short. 3-on-3, not enough players. I say you should actually have 5-on-5, and actually you pay the play and actually make the players work more for their salaries. And I don't think it's unreasonable to have a 5-on-5 with your top guys. I mean, you're paying them already, for one thing, for these huge contracts, and you're going to sit out essentially what could be two of your stars on the bench for the first part when you can, and also it also forces the other team to use their reserves for a 10-minute overtime because no player is going to exhaust themselves for 10 minutes running around, on the ice. I mean, they may get 2 or 3 shifts out of that at the most, or if everyone's really quick, they could get 4. But but it would be worth it because you kind of have to use everyone at that point, and it would really come down to the wire at that point. So that is something else. So 10-on-10, but it's a 5-on-5, or if you really want to just have, less skaters, just put it at a 4-on-4, but 3-on-3, there's not enough players on the ice, and you have to have a real battle. You have to have a real battle, and 3-on-3 is just way too much open ice, and it can just be too easy with one turnover should not make the difference. I mean, yes and no, but I mean, like, the team should have one extra skater at least to recover. I don't think this is unreasonable to have a 5-on-5 again because well, now you're just saying you're just going to be changing up the game from what it was. And we also used to have a 5-on-5 overtime for 5 minutes. I say put it at 10, get rid of the shootout, and start implementing the tie. I'm sorry. It's not the end of the world. Soccer has done this, and the NFL is doing this right now. It can work, and especially if people are still having ties in the NFL, and they're still watching the games on Sundays. They're still doing that, and they don't care. I mean, like they loved it when the Cleveland Browns tied their first game and actually didn't have a loss back in 2018, I believe. They loved that too, and also, guess what? That means you end a losing streak with a tie because you didn't lose, and you get a point in the standings too. So I do think you should have a 2-point system. If a team wins in overtime, that's 2 points for them, but 0 for the losing team. If they're tied at the end of 10 minutes, okay, go home. You each get a point. We don't need to. You don't need to drag it out further, and also, you technically that also technically affects a player's point system because it's technically not the winning goal, and also and what happens now if a player who starts scores and then the next two players score and then your goalie just blocks the final shot, third shot of the opposing team. Guess what? And if you're the first to go, you don't get credit for a goal. So what was the point of even doing that? Just to determine what team scores, and that's not fair to any player too. Like, as well, it's not fair to the goal. It's not fair to even the guy winning the shootout too, because he could have a huge advantage, and the goalie has to change their style as well. They're not with their team of their defenders helping them out, getting the puck out of the crease. It's still not fair to them. I've been ranting on this for so long, and I really think Gary Bettman needs to reassess this as well. Don't get rid of the overtime. It's still necessary, but get rid of the shootout and save that for a skills competition where people can do the Michigan and they can do spinoramas and whatever, and just go triple deke or you name it. It's not like if puck handling is important, but you don't. Why are we making it easier for the players to score? It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a battle. Don't make it any less easier or harder just because you think it might be viewable. Just get rid of the shootout. It's not that hard. So, yes. Now, 20 minutes of a period, I mean, unless you're in high school, would it really be worth putting 15? 20 minutes is fine. That's fine. Call your penalties, power plays, shorthand, whatever. That's fine. Like that's fine. Overtime, and get rid of the shootout. Now, would some teams complain about this system? Yeah, especially a team like Chicago right now, or something, or like a really, like the Devils were not that good last year, so they may have some complaints, but I think it's worth actually just make these teams earn their points, and you're not going to have any teams who fall short complain when they get to the playoffs. And then for the playoffs, just have a 20-minute periods until someone scores for overtime. I mean, it's not that difficult. You don't need to do this, and I don't think this is a bad gimmick. For most of the NHL's lifespan, there's been ties, and the game is tough enough already. If you want to go, I mean, and there initially wasn't even an overtime too, but I think the overtime was still necessary, and just bringing it about as well was crucial to growing hockey. Yeah, this is still frustrating sometimes because I do want to grow the game of hockey, but a shootout is not going to do it. Like, you do. It's like running the marathon, and then you have to do a 100-yard dash. Well, you're not prepped to go up against Usain Bolt. You're not a sprinter. You're in there for the long term, and And I don't think having your backup face Sidney Crosby when you barely eked it out and you worked hard to eke it out for the overtime and the regulation, and then you lose to him because he tries a new move that your goalie wasn't prepared for, and the game was changed up and you lose, and that could cost you a playoff spot. Give me a break. Give me a break. We seriously need to reassess this. And if you want to, and if you disagree with me, okay, I'll leave my email in the show notes, and you can tell me why. But I think I'm right on this issue. Let me know what you think. So if you like this podcast, please rate this 5 stars on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and write me a little review. Let me know what you think of this. And for exclusive bonus stuff, you can subscribe to my Substack. For $5 a month, you get exclusive articles, podcast episodes, and videos. So check it out there, and have a wonderful day.